Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. Happy Friday. It is Friday. Check Friday. I always got to check every weekend. It's Friday, January 26th. How you guys doing? Good week here. Ready to roll. Let's get into some lifting, man. Let's get into your questions. Let's get the gains train started. Let's comb through all the nonsense in the industry, all the bull crap in the industry, and let's get down to real lifting and real results. How you guys doing? I'm fired up. It is Friday. This is the best part of my week. Love answering your questions. If you guys are new here, don't hesitate to post up your questions. I am here to help. So don't feel like a question's been asked 1,000 times over. Let's get after it. So before we get started, a few housekeeping things. If your question doesn't go through, try rephrasing it. Try shortening it, that kind of good stuff, because sometimes Instagram will not allow a certain word or a certain word length or whatever. So, also, if you're tuning in late to this, you're watching it after live starts, you can head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide into my DM and ask your question. Also, I am trying to upload these every week to the podcast. So it's not an official podcast. We're just kind of uploading stuff to the podcast channel, but you can find this stuff on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find podcasts. This live is available or should be available. So let me know if you guys need something to entertain yourself. That stuff is available. A couple of things before we get started. This Monday, I am starting a 100-day challenge. Any of you guys want to join in that are existing clients or Team Massive members, this is free to join in. We're going to have a group on teammassiveiron.com. So if you want to join into this 100-day challenge, it is on teammassiveiron.com, teammassiveiron.com. This is free to clients. This is free to Team Massive members. If you're not a client or Team Massive member, there is a fee if you want my coaching help during these 30 days. If not, you can just join Team Massive and get it for free. Anyway, all that kind of stuff aside, here's what I'm going to be doing. 100 days, and I tried this right before the pandemic and failed. Is it okay to say I fail occasionally? I failed. The pandemic hit, work stress hit, all the excuses. There's all my excuses, but I failed. So for 100 days, it's going to be animal and plant-based only. I'm going to have a calorie cap at 2,200. I'm not allowed to go over that calorie cap for 100 days. There's going to be no alcohol. The movement standards are going to be at least 3 workouts a week. We're just trying to encourage consistency, not trying to do anything crazy. And in a 30-day block, you have to get 25,000 steps or more. So we're having some movement standards, some lifting standards. We have some diet standards. You can't go over your calorie total, whatever that happens to be, wherever that happens to fall. And that's something else I could set for you guys if you need help. And we're going to be eating only animal and plant-based, no alcohol, no fast food, no junk food. What's animal and plant-based? Pork chops, eggs, chicken breasts, fish, whatever your protein sources are, right? Nothing with processed sugar, nothing with processed flour. You can eat dairy. You can eat stuff like that. But, the debate is like, hey, cheese is a processed food. Yeah, it is, but we're going to allow dairy. We're basically, we don't want to turn this into something weird. We're trying to avoid Doritos and pizza and fast food and that sort of stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to start this on Monday. You guys can start whenever you want if you want to join in. I'm going to try for 100 days because I want a big goal. And for everybody else, I'm just encouraging them to try this for 30 days. This is specifically for people that want to lose weight. Anyway, enough about that. Before we get started, real quick, If you need coaching, check out superlivingtoday.com. I had 3 slots open this week. I filled those really quickly. Somebody's always coming and going. Somebody's always transitioning, getting married. Something's going on. So if you're interested, just give me a message at there's a coaching tab up there you can fill out at superlivingtoday.com. Please follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. And please check out my website when you have time. I have a lot of lifting apparel. We got some really cool stuff. Like I sell a gym bag over there. I make like $10, so it's not like I'm trying to be a gym bag company, but it's a quality gym bag, big, durable. I love mine. I have it right here. I sell apparel. We have Massive Iron, multivitamin, whey, creatine. I'm not trying to be a supplement company, but I do have quality products that I put out so I can use myself. If you want that stuff, check it out as well. Most of all, if you need workouts, I have tons of workouts and books here, and that is the heart and soul of Massive Iron. Now, one more thing. I'm working on my new book. Okay. Moved in, all settled in, got the home gym done, working on my new book. And I'm looking to have that done by spring. I'm trying to do 1,000 words a day. It's going to be a big book. It might run a little bit late, but we're going to have that soon. So keep an eye out for that. All right, let's get into things. What's everybody doing? What are you guys lifting? What program are you using? Post up your questions. Let's get rolling. A reminder, if you post a question before live starts, you get a chance to win a free shirt, whey, hoodie, creatine, Team Massive membership, or a free hug. Right. Rico, how's it going, Rico? Thanks for tuning in. How would you pivot your business if YouTube or other platforms canceled you? So Mark Bell got canceled last week or this week. I forget what the specific day. Now he's got his channel put back up. It's a possibility for anyone, really. YouTube can swat anyone down for anything. We could have a SARMs comment on a live and they might not like it and swat a channel down. It's always a possibility. I like Instagram a lot as a communication tool for working with folks. I have a huge mailing list off of my website. If that were to happen, I would just focus more on any outlet I could to reach out, any social media outlet. Right now, I post some stuff on TikTok. It's not like I'm a TikTok guy, right? But I post some stuff on there. I post videos on Rumble. It's not like I'm a big Rumble guy, and that's not a political statement. I just cross-post some videos, older videos on all outlets on Twitter. I'm a scrapper, man. I would do whatever it takes because this is about coaching for me. It's my business. So I would do whatever it takes to, continue to put out content and reach people and hopefully you guys would follow like they've done with many others. One thing I'll say though, Rico, is I don't like drug content. It's not my specialty. I don't really care. I don't care for politics. I'm not here I've seen some people turn their fitness content into politics content. I won't do that as a business. Like, what does it matter what my opinion is on anything? Philosophy, politics, religion. It's not like I'm some genius in those areas, right? We all have our opinions, but it's not coming into this fitness world, right? It's just not. I'm not criticizing anybody, but this is what I am passionate about, lifting. I'm passionate about lifting. I'm passionate about getting strong. I'm passionate about barbells and dumbbells and helping you guys. And I don't have time for that stuff, right? So again, not criticizing other people, but it's not getting on this channel. And hopefully that'll reduce the likelihood that, I have to ever deal with anything like that. Big Paul from Team Massive. Good morning. We're looking at Paul's from New Mexico, and I'm looking at the possibility. Let me get my microphone. Looking at the possibility right now of doing my first meet and greet of the year in June in Denver. I want to do a few this year. I might do one earlier than that. I want to do one in the UK for a week. When I say UK, I want to hit Scotland. I want to hit the London area, maybe head over to Sweden, and then have a few days, personal days in between where I just do some hiking. So I want to have a week over there this year. I'm looking at hitting Denver, maybe Atlanta, and maybe one more location. So I'm open to hear where you guys would like me to come. I can't come everywhere, right? I got to work. I got to put food on the table. But if we do this, it's going to be like a day where we all get together, we work out, we sit in the gym, we go over form stuff, I answer your questions hands on, and maybe we go out to eat, have a few celebratory beers or whatever it is you drink, juice boxes, be family friendly, whatever it is, and carry on. So anyway, Tim, how's it going, Tim? Tim from Singapore. I know it will be far from optimal, but do you think I can make any gains? Yeah, you can make any gains. You can make gains twice a week. You absolutely can. What you have to do is take the mindset that I'm going to do everything I can to get everything out of it. Like when we look at all these pillars involved with muscle building, consistency and volume and progression and frequency and all these things, we think they all have to be pegged to optimal. When the reality is that we just need to be very proficient at all of them. We don't need to be perfect with all of them, but we need to be competent with all of them. Meaning you need a competent level of volume. You need a competent level of progression. You need a reasonable, degree of hard training. If you got those in the mix, you're going to make progress, right? There's a difference between a competent level and an incompetent level. Incompetent level would be not training at all or just quitting or not sustaining any consistency. And the fact that you're going to be able to train twice a week hard, is a big thing. Happy Friday. What are your thoughts on curved Woodway treadmills versus normal treadmills? I've seen them. I've never tried them. So any opinion I share is based on what I see. I don't know from personal opinion if the foot striking is going to feel weird. I imagine it would create a different degree of stress on all the little pieces of connective tissue and the joints and whatnot. I don't know if the soreness would be different. I really, really don't. I don't know. With that said, I'm not against anything as long as it feels good. Use whatever piece of cardio equipment or equipment feels good and natural to you. Don't ever get caught up in the fitness lying, extremism nonsense. Somewhere there's probably somebody out there that has made videos telling you this is the ultimate thing. And if you're not doing it, you're missing out because A, B, and C, and D, and you should switch over immediately. And we know how the games are played in this industry, and they're nonsense. We want to do the form of movement we enjoy. It doesn't have to be a specific type of movement. If you enjoy it, do it. If you don't do it. Anybody that tells you the elliptical is magic or the Stairmaster is magic or this is magic or that is magic or bungee fitness is magic or whatever it is full of crap. Life is short. Do what you love. Do what feels good. All right. Let's see. Matthew, hold on a second here. If you have a race, a fitness test, a mud run planned, do you lower volume of scheduled deloads leading up to it? If you have a race or fitness test or mud run planned, you want to come into it relatively fresh. I don't do anything extreme. I don't want my legs fatigued. So, if I have something like that coming up, I generally don't do legs like 5 or 6 days before. I don't stop doing upper body stuff. I might I might move things down a little bit and just do a hold steady workout. I don't really want to run into or head into a run with any degree of soreness. Um, in anything really. So just make sure you're fresh. Maybe take 4 to 5 days, 3 to 4 days off of lifting. Don't go in with anything sore. Just rest up and make sure we don't have to go overboard on carbs. Make sure you go in with some, full of glycogen, and you got your electrolytes, and you wake up that morning and you're hydrated. You got in some electrolytes. You'll be good to go. I wouldn't overthink it. The body's pretty resilient. I just don't go in with any degree of fatigue. Stein, good morning. What's going on? Big Justin Jones, good morning. Big hair, ugly dude, and Team Mass. Should an over 40 lifter bulk? Yes. I have over 40 lifters bulking right now, making amazing progress. The game is the same no matter who you are. And I say this with respect and love. You old dudes, and I say that because I will be 50, what am I going to be? 57 this year. I'll look a day over 47, right? Something like that. I'll be, when I call you older dudes, you're a lot younger than I am. So yes, the game isn't different. We don't do aggressive bulks ever. We stay within like a plus or plus 10, minus 10 frame. But I have a lot of over 40 lifters doing just that, and they're making wonderful progress. Robert Miller is doing good. I posted him on my Instagram. We have Troy Smith, who's tuning in, Troy S. Right now. He's in the comments section. We have a lot of good guys. I could go on and on with my over 40 clients. Yes, because we're focusing on good quality foods, and we're not doing an aggressive bulk, right? We're doing a reasonable bulk. We're not abusing our body, and our weight is within a reasonable range to begin with. If you are obese or morbidly obese, I'm not going to encourage you to bulk ever, especially if you're over 40 or 50, because we want to keep you away from the heart attack zone, right? Health is your number one priority. You can't lift weights when you're dead. I don't know if that's a rule you guys are familiar with, but you can't lift weights when you're dead. The big guys in the crowd that are over 40, I say this with love because I was there myself at age 46. I was 346 pounds, and type 2 diabetes was coming for my life, literally. You can't lift weights when you're dead. When you are dead, your 1 rep max is 0. Your 3 lift total is 0. So men over 40, 50 that are obese, morbidly obese, whatever basically, if you're over 240 pounds, you can look at the research yourself. As an editor in the fitness industry, when I looked at this stuff, and the studies and the research, not specific studies, but when we looked at all the mortality statistics, just straight mortality statistics, the long story short is if you're over 240 pounds as a male, you're in that heart attack zone. That doesn't mean you're just going to drop dead and have a heart attack, but you're in the danger zone. You're in the yellow warning zone. You need to figure that out. And tall guys will be like, well, I'm tall, so it doesn't matter. Yes, it matters. If you look at the longevity statistics for taller men, they tend to die younger. The body, the heart doesn't care if you're tall or muscular or whatever. I mean, being in good shape and being more muscular and eating right is certainly important. We're not trying to diminish that. But the heart still has to maintain your mass. And that puts a little bit extra strain on the heart. We want to keep our weight reasonable over the age of 40. And I do not encourage anybody to bulk or aggressively bulk when they're not to aggressively bulk when they're over that age. And certainly if your weight is a little bit on the higher end, we need to get that down first. What what are possible causes of knees caving in? A lot of it is just a bad habit. A lot of it is mental. Like if somebody, and this is a controversial statement, but let me explain. If you all of a sudden do a safety squat bar, there's a likelihood your knees are going to open because the weight distribution is more forward. If you do a front squat, it's likely your knees are going to open more naturally. You're not thinking about it, but when you put that weight on your back and you're a little bit forward, people tend to clench up a little bit. I have something called pick up the quarter. So I'm just looking at a future. I have something called pick up the quarter. Justin, it's a lot mental and it's a lot practice. We develop bad habits. I just saw a comment come here at the end. I want to look at Michael, fat boy. Fat is not bad. I'm 300 pounds of body weight and I'm in better shape than you. You look it, dude. I breathe better and I don't even train at all. Thank you for the troll account. And you are, let's see, blocked. Kick rocks, idiot. We do not have time for fools. And you are a fool. Go play with the other children. All right. Where were we? Always some idiot, right? Wait. Let me go. Where are we? Gotta go back. Yeah, back to knees caving in on the squats. A lot of it is mental. Sorry, I saw that comment come in. I want to entertain you guys. A lot of it is mental. A lot of it is just habit. We develop bad habits. Wherever your feet are on the squat, and we want them a little bit out naturally, and we want a natural width with our stance. The angle of your thighs have to match the angle of your feet. So we want to work on that during our warm-ups. If you are sitting here, all right, and you clench your glutes, just clench. I know it sounds silly, but if you clench your glutes, your knees are going to open up naturally, right? If you're sitting here and you push your knees in, your glutes are going to kind of loosen. A lot of this has to do with lack of control, bad habit, not allowing the glutes to be part of the movement, etc. So some issues when it comes to squats and deadlifts are very much a discipline. We can try to overanalyze it, or we need to work on it. You simply need to open your damn knees. You need to force them open. You need to push them open. We have this tendency to kind of air brake when we're going down, where we don't realize it, but we're pushing our knees in to kind of protect ourselves, right? And we are the cause. We don't realize we're doing this. We have to do the opposite. We have to externally rotate those knees open as we descend and work. Okay, so just keep at it. How concerned should the average lifter be about spiking blood sugar? Not at all. I mean, we're in a world where we're going to try to eat reasonably healthy. And you have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, whatever, a little Debbie, whatever. I mean, in fact, you probably want some simple sugars immediately after your workout. The average lifter shouldn't really worry, as long as your diet's balanced. Just stay balanced and healthy. Keep that healthy, balanced mindset. There's nothing to be concerned about. You take care of yourself most of the time. And that's really all you can do in this life. You get in your activity, you get in your resistance training, you get in plenty of nutrient-rich foods, you're on a good path. How important is axial loading to exercise selection? How important is axial loading to exercise selection? Axial loads are those that can withstand a force in the same direction as the axis. Zero. I really have no idea what you're trying to get at. Apparently, I mean, I'm not trying to be naive here, but I don't know what, if you would clarify what you're trying to express here. Exercise selection, no one ever woke up and said, maybe one guy on YouTube saying, well, I'm going to base exercise selection on axial loading. I mean, there's only so many lifts you can do in the gym. And we want the good quality lifts with a quality progression, opportunity that feel good on the body, that don't beat up the body. And never once ever does anybody need to worry about axle loading in the exercise selection. I'm not making fun of you by any means, but it's just it's nothing anybody needs to worry about. Morning, Massive Mammals. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not wanting to automatically drop weight heading into the cut. Wait, I'm just trying to sort through that. I'm not wanting to drop weight heading into the cut. So when, if at all, should you drop weight? I thought you meant drop weight on the scale. I was like, what? That's not a cut. You don't drop weight. You never drop weight. Dropping weight is, if you want to trigger me, then drop weight, right? We are safe and we are smart during our training. We don't assume, we never just arbitrarily drop weight. You want to push safely and smartly. During a cut, you don't want to over push for PRs, okay? You don't want to change your programs. You're going to do the same program. You maybe want to pull back on drop sets, supersets, rest pause, all the intensity work, right? You want to pull back on that a little, or for the most part. A cut is not a time to be fancy. A cut is not a time to be over pushing posterior chain movements like squats, deadlifts, RDLs. A cut is not the time to be over pushing for PRs. Your glycogen depleted, your energy depleted, you have less base materials to work with in your body. If you're on bicep curls and you hit 9 reps and you know you can steal rep 10 easily, then steal rep 10. But we do not drop weight. If you are on bench press and you hit 210 by 7 before the cut and you're down to 210 by 5, then I will encourage clients to drop 5 or 10 pounds because we don't want to go too low. But this is a case-by-case basis, if that makes sense. Also, wrists are feeling a bit beat up after running your big bench for 6 months. Do you use wrist wraps? I would say if that's the case, you might want to consider using wrist wraps. Thinking of shifting that volume to back, how would you adjust a lube split to be 2 times back a week? Whenever we want to do a specialization program, we have to first decide which split we want to run it in, right? So I like to keep the weekly volume the same for the totality of the body, okay? So we're going to keep the weekly volume the same. If you're doing 72 sets a week, then we're going to stay with 72 sets a week. How much back volume do you want to move up? Maybe you want to add 6 sets. Maybe you want to add 8. Maybe you want to add 10 per week. Maybe you want to go hardcore. We're going to have to pull that out from somewhere. And this is a specialization program. You can add it if you have time to add into the gym. So there are 2 scenarios. You want to add more time into the gym for a specialization program, or you want to keep the same time and maybe pull some pieces and parts out of the other. So let's say we got 12 sets for back, chest, delts, and quads. 12, 12, 12, 12. We have 48 total sets per week for the major muscle group areas. If we want to bump back, say, up to 18, we could pull 6 sets out of the other stuff. So we could have 18, and then we could have 10, 10, and 10. That's still 48 total sets. Does that make sense? You still can work chest, back, and quads just as hard with 10 sets as you can do with 12. And after all, this is a specialization window that we're training in. So we have to understand that you can keep the 12, 12, and 12 and add time in gym. What I would do, a lube split is lower or legs, upper A, back, and extra upper or upper B. It just makes sense to call it a lube instead of a lubu, right? So you can disperse that a number of ways. You can either take out 2 sets on legs, upper, and extra upper for one of the body parts and add in back work there. That would be one way you could do it. So you're adding frequency on a back day. What I mean is on legs, you could lower your quad work to 10 sets a week and then add in 2 sets of back there, or maybe 3 sets of back there. You could do it on your upper. You can really add it in wherever you want. The only thing is you want a rest day before your back day. Does that make sense? So I don't know that a lube would be the best for that, but that's kind of how you could do it. I would probably take the 2 sets out of the big, quads on leg, maybe 2 sets out of shoulders on the first upper, 2 sets out of chest on the second upper, and you can add your 6 extra sets of back work there, and you can get to 18. That's how you could possibly do it on a lube. You would have to have, you could adjust it to 3 sets you want if you want. There's different ways to move it around, but there's a lot of ways to do it. No way specifically that's magic. Shelly, how's it going? Shelly, good morning from Team Massive. Big Joe B, client of mine, Team Massive as well. Chris Jackson, will I get faster if I do long runs, or do I need to practice running faster to get fast? Longer runs will help your general conditioning. Trying to set PRs every time is not the best way to get fast. I've had 2 of the top running coaches in the world, and they both approach things similarly. Now, I'm not saying this is the only method. I'm not an expert on all running training methods. But what they both had me do was a speed up day. And I posted this in Team Massive. Okay, the speed up day is where you go in, and depending on your schedule and how long you want to run, you go out for 5 to 10 minutes at normal conversational pace. Then you start to do speed ups, okay? Speed ups, let me explain it. This is a dumbed down way I frame it. Zone 1 is walking. Zone 2 is running at conversational pace. These are my zones, okay, when I coach running. Running at conversational pace, you can run and have a conversation with somebody next to you, you're not winded. Zone 4 is a sprint, something you can barely sustain longer than 10, 12, 15 seconds. All out. Zone 3 is a step down from a sprint and a step up from conversational pace. You're running, zone 3 is a faster pace, something you can sustain for a minute or 2, but then you're done. Okay. The way speed up training works is that you go out for 5 to 10 minutes at conversational pace. Then you do a minute or so of a speed up. Then you rest 60, 90, 120 seconds. Do another minute of a speed up. And you repeat that until you hit like 5, 6 speed ups-ish. The speed ups, from what I was told by my running coaches, are the tool that brings up the floor, right? In running, you have to get in your miles. It's just like in lifting, you have to get in your consistency and your volume. And on that, you need progressive overload. With running, you need to get in your miles. But you also, if you're interested in improving your speed, you probably need to be doing some sort of surging or speed up work. Not every day of the week, once a week. We don't over push this button. We do it once a week. The rest of the week, we do conditioning work. Hold on, I'm trying to calm down the dogs. The rest of the week we do just our normal work. You can also do hill work if you want once a week to help. That doesn't hurt. Going up and down hill doesn't hurt as well. But the worst thing you can do is try to go out and just set PRs over and over and over again. It would be called ego running. It's the same as ego lifting, where you try to go out and set 1 rep maxes on bench. It's not the way you build your bench. Big hairy ugly dude, have you ever heard of a protein sparing modified fast? Do you have any opinions? Protein sparing usually refers to carbs. So I'm not getting into protein sparing modified fast. I'm just talking about protein sparing. Carbs are protein sparing, meaning when you're in a bulk, you're using your carbs, relying more on carbs for energy. And when you're in a cut, you have fewer carbs, so your body's going to rely on some of the protein for energy. So carbs are protein sparing. I don't know anything about a protein sparing modified. I've come across it before. I'm not naive, but I don't know specifically the mechanisms right now sitting here in front of you. So I'm not going to pretend I do. I don't know the ins and outs and the rules. I'm familiar with the concept. I've heard it before. I'm just familiar with the concept on a cursory level. Do you have any opinion on 1 or 2 week crash diets? It depends on what you mean by crash. I'm not a fan of just randomly doing 1 to 2 week really low calorie diets. And then it's going to, the number of weeks you are on a crash diet, it's basically going to be the same amount of weeks it's going to take you to get back up to speed with your lifting. So doing this frequently, I'm not a fan of. I consider it hyper inefficient. It's not that aggressive cuts don't work. I have clients right now. I made a post on Instagram about aggressive cuts. Aggressive cuts do work, but we're not trying to starve ourselves, right? We're trying to push past the industry nonsense that if you lose more than 1.5 pounds a week, it's all muscle, right? Or, this is kind of the general fairy tale that gets pushed around the lifting industry. It's not true at all. It's very hard to lose weight on a cut. You might feel like crap. Your glycogen will be depleted. Maybe your electrolytes are low, all that kind of good stuff. But, that's different from losing large amounts of muscle. We don't want to do things radical. We want to be conventional and reasonable when it comes to bulking and cutting, right? If you have a period in your life where you can't lift for a week or two, and it throws you out of your normal bulk and cut cycle, and you want to use it to cut out a couple pounds of fat, then do so. But we shouldn't be relying on this sort of thing, if that makes sense, as part of our routine. Now, somebody posted here. Protein modified fast is 1 or more days, very low calories, but hits protein targets to spare muscle. You're going to have to hit a lot of protein to do that. If you want to do that during a cut, that's fine. Regular fasting can be part of a cut. But if you're going to do this, you really want to bring your protein up quite a bit. I think it's a little bit overbaked, to be honest with you. I wouldn't get that much into the weeds, that much. Just do it but it's not magic. If we start to think it's magic, if we start to think it's magic, hold on. Where am I? If we start to think it's magic, it's not. My wife's here and she brought me something magical.
Because I'm such a beautiful wife, I bought your favorite candy bar because they had them at the store.
Yeah, so Monday I'm starting the 100-day challenge we talked about at the beginning of the program, and she's such a sweetheart. She brought me because she knows I won't have any of this for 100 days.
And they're hard to find.
They're hard to find.
Can't find
this is my favorite candy bar.
Yeah.
Chichi Morongo.
He's playing puzzles. They were all wrestling.
Oh,
so I put the puzzles up there. Blue's eating all the puzzles.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you.
Chichi doesn't care about puzzles.
This is my wife, Fiona. She's not really Australian. She just makes up an accent.
Yes, I don't know how.
Guess what? Happy Australia Day.
I know. It's Australia Day where everybody's going to the beach and swimming and having fun, and I'm stuck here in the cold and the rain.
So, do you guys normally grill out on Australia Day? Get really rip roaring drunk?
Barbecue.
Yeah, a lot of beer.
Barbecue. I don't drink beer. barbecue and go to the beach, or most because we're lazy. So
Just
otherwise, you
lazy.
just take an esky full of food and go to the beach and sit there.
For Americans, what's an esky?
A thing you put all your stuff into to keep it
A
cool.
cooler. Sorry, just translating. I know what an esky is.
Yes,
Chichi, what's going on?
Maranga.
All right, back to the show.
Oh, sorry, you're getting all fancy.
All right, out of my ear, please. Thank you, Chi-Chi, for blowing out my eardrum. Somebody went on to say, I think it's a Menno Henselman idea. I posted on Menno this week on Instagram as well. I'll leave it at that. But it's just, we're getting into the weeds here of just, look, if you want to do it, but it's not going to provide any benefit over a regular cut. Like, if you want to do something because you enjoy it, that's one thing. But if we start to believe that if we're going to do something, it's going to make a difference in a cut, it's not. If you want to have a lower calorie day on a cut, like every fourth day, that's not a bad idea. You're not going to lose muscle mass. Even if you lost a gram, muscle memory is real and you're going to get it back. The fear that if we go too aggressively on a cut, we're going to like lose muscle mass forever. That's not reality. If you lose a gram during a cut, muscle memory is real. You're going to get it back immediately. Right. So, if you want to do a, lower calorie day every fourth or fifth day or whatever, you can, but you would definitely want to have it high protein, mostly protein, maybe proteins and 20% fats. You would want to just completely kibosh the carbs as much as possible, save as many calories as you can for protein, because your body's going to be using protein for energy. Now, with that said, one lower calorie day isn't going to be critical, right? It's not like I have to get my protein levels or I'm going to lose 3 pounds of muscle mass on that lower calorie day. This is fairy tale stuff. It's influencer made up, Menno Henselman made up stuff. And I don't know what he's saying, but I'm just saying it's not even a requirement, right? It's not. You were treating the body like it's that fragile. If we don't do it, the alternative is we're going to lose a lot of muscle mass, which is nonsense. It's really hard to lose muscle mass during a cut unless you're in starvation mode for a very long period of time and you stop lifting. So other than that, just always remember, even if you do lose a gram or two on a cut, it's going to come back right away. Muscle memory is a real thing. I mentioned Sean Sullivan, who was a bodybuilder that I interviewed at Muscle and Strength, and his interview is still over there. Sean Sullivan, not sure where he is. This was a long time ago, at least 10 years ago, but I believe he did like 90 bodybuilding shows, perpetually cutting, right? And it wasn't like he was losing mass. He was looking better and better and more refined. So the body is not that fragile. Don't fall into that crowd and all the influencer nonsense. Raphael, when doing bent over rows, should one row to the chest or belly? You row to a natural spot. You don't want to row like up here. That's not natural, right? When you're standing upright, if you want to drive your elbows back to strike someone, you're not going to efficiently do it like this, right? You're not going to be able to generate power. There's certain limitations. You want to have that natural plane. You really just want to drive it naturally more than anything. And it doesn't have to touch the body. That's not the goal. The goal is to get a good upper back feeling. Does that make sense? Big Drew, could you give some details about when you returned to lifting after taking a couple years off? I had a couple of periods in my adult life where I was away from lifting. Around 2004, 2006 was the last period. My last daughter was born. She was very colicky. I was transitioning jobs from healthcare after 5 years to working as a machinist. I started working second shift. There's a lot of changes going on in my life. My daughter was super colicky, and she would just scream for like 18 hours a day. And I would get home at 12 o'clock from my second shift job at a factory, and I'd have to be up with her for 3 hours. And then I'd sleep in, wake up, and be like death and go to work again. So I wasn't working out for like 2 years. I got sick of my own crap, and that's when I built the first Dungeon Gym and started really doing YouTube after that, maybe a year or two after that. I started doing videos, but I built my first home gym, and not really much to say. It took me like 4 months, and I had all my mass back. I did. I legitimately had all my mass back. I looked like I had never stopped lifting. My weight was down to like 232. I was losing weight at the time. I lost 40 pounds at the time and got all my mass back. So, muscle memory is a pretty amazing thing. I didn't do anything special. Or did you approach the iron? How did you approach the iron? Just like you always ease back into things. Whenever you're away from the iron, you don't just jump back into what you did before. You have to start slow. I started slow. I was moving here to my new house and building this gym and painting this gym and having endless weekends of moving and loading and doing this stuff. I didn't lift for 3 or 4 months. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was moving house. I had to load trucks. I had to clean the old thing. I had to build all this equipment. I didn't live for 3 or 4 months. When I come back, I start with 135 pounds on the bench. Okay. Now, I didn't lose all my strength, but I have to be very aware of the connective tissue. When you take time off, your muscle strength can still be there to a reasonable degree, but your connective tissue can weaken a lot more quickly. And that sounds bro science-y, but I think that's a reality. I am back a month in to my training. I did 185 by 3 or 4 or 5 by 10 on bench. My third workout back, I did 135. Second week, I did 165. Third week, I did 185. Next week, I'll do 205. And the week after that, I'll be back up to 225 by 3, 4, 5 by 10. And that'll be pretty close to back to 400 again, or around a 400 range of a round. I'm not trying to toss out numbers, say I can bench 400, but it's in that range. So you have to take time to ease back in. You have to let that connective tissue kind of get back up to speed, if that makes sense. If you want to encourage injury, just jump back into heavy weight if you're more than 10, 15, 20 days off from a big compound movement. Big Chris Jackson, do you ever struggle with distractions from your goals in the diet area? No. I'm pretty disciplined in the diet area. I did for a long time. I'm not like Superman. It's not like I never had issues with eating, but I don't now. I don't over eat. I don't like to feel full. I get a small bag of chips, like the tiny bag of chips, instead of the big bag of chips. I don't eat nearly what I did. When I do, I know you guys know I like beer. And you guys know I like scotch, but I don't overdo that stuff. Thursday night, me and the wife have a movie night where we like to watch a movie. Last night we watched a movie. I had 2 whole beers, an hour and a half. That's it. So I don't overdo that stuff. I'm not trying to put anybody down that has distractions. We do. We can, and it's certainly not unusual, and you don't have to feel bad about it. But at some point, if it's pulling you away from your goals, you got some tough decisions to make. Weekends tend to kill people. People that are bulking, people that are cutting. People that are cutting, weekends tend to kill them. People that are bulking, tend to overeat. Hey, I'm bulking. I'm going to be a pig, right? And then all of a sudden you gain like 8 pounds in 2.5 weeks, and you're like, I'm a fat slob. I have to cut again. And then you're always bulking, cutting, never lifting, never building. So if food is distracting you from your goals, pulling away from your goals, look, at some point, you need to grow up. I mean, that's not like you're going through puberty there. At some point, you need to grow up. You need to stop eating like a child. You need to get sick of your own crap. Like, hopey dopey do, another bad weekend. I can't get it under control. Grow up. Now, Chris, I don't know about you, and I don't know about your situation. I'm not talking to Chris specifically. But look, you got goals, but you keep eating like a pig, right? And they keep taking you away from your goals. Or you keep screwing up your cuts and prolonging them into 8 months. Or screwing up your bulks and turning a 4 or 5 month building bulk into a 1 month fat slob period. At some point, you got to be who you is, or you is who you ain't, right? Better to be who you is than who you ain't, because if you ain't who you is who you ain't. A wise man once said. Look, you have to be real with yourself. If you want muscle mass and you want to do the bulk and cut thing, it's not like hopey dopey do, I screwed up my cut again, hopey dopey do, I screwed up my bulk again, hopey dopey do. That's going to be the story of your life. Is that what you want to be the story of your life, or do you want to get on with getting on? It's going to take a period of sacrifice to build the body and strength levels you want. Athletes don't get to be like hopey dopey do, right? They need to focus and practice at some point and dedicate themselves. Anybody, here's the bigger point, lifting aside, anybody that wants to accomplish anything important in life to a successful degree at some point needs to become unbalanced. At some point, they need to dedicate some time to practice, discipline, planning, structure. You can't be hopey dopey do unless you're one of the miracle children born with a skill where you can draw anything like just from eyeball, like a natural talent. Sorry, the dogs were a lot upstairs. At some point, look, Chris, I don't know you. I don't know your situation. I know who you are, but I don't know your situation. I'm not monitoring your habits, and I don't know that this is you, but this is just a common thing with so many people. I see it in coaching. I can see your future, right? Like, I know there's a big game this weekend, and I know you want to go have fun. I get it. Whatever the thing is on the weekend. Oh, there's a movie release. I want to go have fun. I want to go binge watch a show on Netflix that just came out. I want to go have fun. Oh, next week's the Super Bowl. Oh, after that, March Madness. Oh, after that, baseball starts. Oh, after that, it's Valentine's Day. After that's my birthday. After that, summer starts. It's always something. There are people that live in that always something zone that can't get their act together. There is always something. We're not trying to be unbalanced human beings here and take all the fun out of life. But if you want to achieve your goals, which is a reasonable degree of strength, and look better, at some point, you need to suck it up, Buttercup. You need to suck it the hell up. You need to go through a period of time where you strap it down and you are focused. And you don't go every weekend where you're blowing it, where you're blowing your cut. Everybody has distractions. That's the secret. Everybody struggles with distractions, Chris. That's the secret. Everybody does. Everybody has distractions, events. You're going to use it as an excuse to be Piggy McPigs? Again, I'm not poking at Chris. I'm asking you guys in general. It's your decision. I'm not going to condemn you if you want to be Piggy McPigs, but by all means, if you want to be Piggy McPigs, you can't expect to reach your goals. You have to live in reality. You have to stand in front of the mirror and say, hey, do I want to be Piggy McPigs and use my distractions as an excuse, or I don't want to strap it on for a couple of years and get on with getting on? That's your decision. You're a you have free will. I'm not here to judge you, but this is a lifting channel. If you want to reach your goals, you're going to have to tighten it up a little bit. And the first thing is to go over the mirror right now. Any of you struggling with distractions, and say, I am not a special little butterfly. Everybody has distractions. Michael Jordan had distractions. Cal Ripken had distractions. Your favorite footy player or soccer player has distractions. Your favorite YouTube celery has distractions. Everybody has distractions. You're not a special little flower in the meadow. You're not a special little butterfly. You're not special. Oh, yeah, you're unique. Your mama made you unique with all those ugly-ass genetics you have, that ugly face, and those poor calf genetics. We'll blame your mother. No, let's blame your dad. Right? We can't blame your mom. You're unique, but you're not special. And that's the first thing you need to understand. I am not special. Everybody struggles with distractions. Do you ever struggle? Everybody struggles, Chris. At some point, though, you got to enter that Rocky Balboa mode where you're up at 4 a.m. slamming eggs and chasing chickens around the yard. All right, guys, live starts now. I'm going to give away some free stuff. Who do we want to give away to? Who do we want to give it away to? A lot of the same old crew. Drew, I'm going to hook you up today. You can get a t-shirt, hoodie, wear crate. You hit me up and I'll hook you up. All right, guys. We are about an hour in. Let me take a little sip of my Diamond Dew. We're not doing Purple Monsters. One of the things I'm trying to do in the new year is save a little bit of money. And those Purple Monsters, man, they can start eating your money. You know, I started drinking 2, and then all of a sudden I'm drinking 3. And before I know it, before you realize it, at the end of your workday, there's 4 cans over there, and there goes $10. So the Diamond Dew is a heck of a lot cheaper. I just made that switch. I'm not over drinking it. Don't panic. I'm not like Donald Trump drinking 20 Diet Cokes a day. Guys, we are an hour in. I want your questions. Please post up your questions. I know there's a long queue, but I answer every question. So post it up, come back later. I want you guys to know that your support of live means a lot. Running a live video for 2.5 hours, it doesn't get a lot of views. Not a lot of people are interested in watching a live video, a long video like that, and I get that. But I do appreciate your guys' support. I do appreciate every minute you watch this counts. So I just want to say thank you to the folks that support this. I don't know how long I've been doing this. So 5 years, 6 years, something. I'm going to keep doing it until the wheels fall off the bus. Free speech absolutist. How do you know if you're going too heavy on RDLs? I feel like I can move a lot of weight. Well, the one thing to understand on RDLs, this is the prime mistake. There are a lot of mistakes with RDLs. But one of the biggest mistakes is that we try to focus more on weight than we do technique. The RDL is even more technique important, even more technique challenging than the deadlift. It's not simply lowering the weight and coming back up, right? That's not an RDL. With an RDL or a good morning, you push the glutes back to lower the weight. See, let's say this is the weight. This is where the weight hangs, okay? On an RDL or a good morning, you push the glutes back, and then the weight lowers from that. Does that make sense? The knees bend slightly. You push the weight back with knees bending naturally. The weight will lower. When the glutes no longer want to move back or can't move back, or you're to the point where your lower back wants to break, you pop back up. That's a good morning. We aren't worried about heavy. We're worried about technique, and then you can progress in that zone, if that makes sense. Jippo 88. If I have lots of some eggs and maybe it have too much fat, no, fat is not the enemy. You can't live in 1977, Jippo. Fat is not the enemy. Fat is not the enemy. Eggs are rich in nutrients. We have to break free as fitness people from these myths and lies and misconceptions. This is good stuff to eat. People are getting ill from eating fast food and crap food and processed foods. Eggs, eat all you want. Our organs, our brain, our skin, everything, our central nervous system needs fat. This is a good fat source. If you're just eating deep fried cheese fingers with some shit, with some crappy, oil that's been sitting there for 22 hours and it's filled with all kinds of nastiness, that's probably not what I want to put in my body. But natural fat from an egg, an animal, yes. No downside, my friend. Take care of yourself with real food. And 2, bread, good carbs for cut diet. I don't like anything with processed sugar, processed flour, and most bread has processed sugar and processed flour. On a cut, you want to maximize your use of lean proteins and animal-based choice or plant-based choices. Now, I get a lot of hate, but if you're going to do bread, you want to do something like sprouted bread, Ezekiel bread. You really don't want to overdo bread. Now, with that said, some of you guys can handle hunger better and you can have a little bit of bread on your cut. That's fine. But in general, you don't want to over-rely on things with processed sugar and processed flour. Shelley, how do you recommend increasing strength on dumbbell exercise when I top out on reps at the lower weight but don't hit the target at the next? You could just move up the top set. You can do dynamic double progression. So let's say, Shelley, you're doing 25, 25, 25. You're doing 3 sets of dumbbell bench. I'm just using this as an example. You're doing 3 sets of 25 on dumbbell bench. And the first set, you get to 12, but then you get to 7 and 5. There's a drop off. Just using this as an example. You can move the first set up to 30 and keep the other 2s at 25s until you move up. Does that make sense? Jonathan. Big, hairy, ugly dude. I did pretty good on my bulk, but fell off for a week. It happens. I think I gained at least 2.5 pounds, mostly water weight. You get back on your bulk. A lot of this is going to be water weight. It's not like you're going to gain 5 pounds of fat in a week. Understand that when you have a bad week on a bulk, we're not trying to rally behind something like this and say we want to do it, but understand you're mostly going to gain water weight. Once you get back on your bulk, that should regulate. And look, all things considered, if you're doing a 10-pound bulk or even a 12-pound bulk, or maybe you're doing a 6-month, 15-pound bulk, and you have 1 week where you gain maybe after the water weight goes away an extra 1.5 pounds, you're not really, you're at 11.5 pound bulk, 13.5 pound bulk, whatever. It's not that much of a difference. It's not going to make a critical difference to your cut. Now, if you're being piggy McPigs and doing this every other weekend, then you need to spend a weekend alone in the wilderness with Jesus, Buddha, aliens, Crom, or something to get things back, to tighten your shot group a little bit. Richard, have a great weekend. You too, my friend. Join Team Massive, teammassiveiron.com, teammassiveiron.com. It's a great investment for your health and strength. It's a community. And if you are are tired of things like Facebook, or tired of things like YouTube comments, or tired of things, all the chaos, we run a community, teammassiveiron.com. It's on a private website, and we don't talk religion. We don't talk politics. There are no trolls. We just talk lifting and gather each day and try to encourage and motivate and keep everybody focused and support each other. It's a good environment. It's not for everybody. But if you need that extra type of motivation, it's there. A lot of people join, they don't get involved. I wish they would. A lot of people join, do get involved. It's about 50-50. So give it a try. Eric, good morning. Deadlift posterior day and some running. Get after it. It is Delty Welty day for me here. You posted your client Harut crushing it. Could you tell us a bit more how y'all went about it? Harut is a superstar. I remember the first time I talked to him, he was doing like a complete fast 1 day a week. Skinny, fat. I believe a lot of weight around his love handles. He carried more of his fat around love handles, lower belly. He wasn't anything unusual. He was like everybody else that comes to me. And what I did was give him the plan, and he nailed it. See, there are variances in coaching. If you give someone a bulk, if they are all over the place, it's just going to stretch out the bulk or encourage cuts, and we're wasting some time, whatever percentage of time that happens to be. If you give somebody a cut and they prolong the cut, they're taking time away from the bulk, and we're wasting time again. Harut just did the workouts, and he did the bulks, and he did the cuts, and he did the process. Nothing special at all. Nothing special. I'm not saying he isn't special, because his reporting is regimented. I know every day I'm going to be on, and Harut is going to be there with information. Form videos, workout reports. And I know what to expect. So that builds trust. That shows me his passion. He just does it. Never complains. It's not like he's a perfect human being. He'll go out on the weekend, have a little bit of fun, this, that, and the other thing. But he's right back at it. Right back at the grind. I've been with him a long time. I believe by the end of the year, he's going to be pretty close to his natural potential. And we have fast-tracked this stuff. Like literally fast-tracked it. I believe in 3.5 years, he's going to be about 95%, maybe even 98% of the way to all the mass he'll ever get as a natural, because he just trusted the process. Not magic. I gave him everything I teach you guys on a daily basis. The fact remains is it comes down to sticking to it. And in that sense, he is superior. My guys that stick to it make amazing progress. Troy Smith. I got Robert Miller, who is in his late 50s, making progress. We're making progress. How fast or how slow this progress is, it can be slower for some people, even when they're doing the right thing. Like progression can be slower. Might have physical issues. But as long as we stay on the tracks and move forward with the process, we're going to get there. It's when we allow all the distractions and the program hopping and the overeating and the bulking, cutting, screwing it up constantly stuff. Harut sends form videos, I correct them. Hey, your lat pull downs are too fast. Slow down. Get a stretch at the top. If you want to know what coaching is like, it is a daily relationship. I'm watching you. I'm not going to have anything earth-shattering to probably tell you every single day. I'm going to make sure you're on the tracks. I'm the eyeballs that live in the matrix. I know what it takes. And when I see a form video a little bit off, when I see the diet a little bit off, when I see the training a little bit off, I'm going to correct it. And when I correct it, do you stay on the tracks? Happy Friday. Thank you, sir. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for being a part of Team Massive. In 4th week of upper posterior, happy I switched. Cutting and lost 4 kilograms this year. Nice work. Eating more carbs, feeling really good for the workout. Sounds good, man. You're in a good place. Just keep after it. My overhead press is weaker after bench press, so I can't get enough volume. I lift. Well, you have a work capacity issue, and that's not a criticism. That's normal. We have to build the work capacity. We have to build the strength. The only thing you can do is keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, and keep wanting it more than you want air itself. It is going to be weaker, especially when you start. It is going to be weaker. That's not a problem. That is an opportunity. Attack. Don't feel you need to change anything. Stay in the lane. Nail your nutrition. Be hungry for plus ones. It will come around. Your work capacity will come around. Your volume will come around, and you will build muscle. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And great shirt. Morning, Steve. Just Googled the time in Ohio. It's Eastern time. What countries have you been to, and which ones would you like to visit? I've been to Canada a few times, more than a few times, a lot of times. Toronto, Hamilton, a little bit north. I've been to New Zealand, just a kiss on the cheek to New Zealand. Australia, England, Scotland. Those are the countries I've been to. And what would I like to visit? I've had a lot of friends and clients in Sweden and Germany over the years, and other countries over there, and Spain, you name it. I'd really like to get around the board a little bit. Ireland. Always have a lot of clients from Ireland, clients from Sweden, Germany, folks from Singapore, a lot of clients from the Middle East. Wonderful, wonderful support from the Middle East and India. So, man, I'd love to see it all over time. I really would. McChesington. Are 100 of band face pulls done every day for rear development? No, we don't. We don't just do volume for development. We do progressive overload. It's a stupid gimmick. If you just flap your wings 100 times a day, you could say it's good for side delt development. This is a stupid gimmick. Now, I'm not saying face pulls are a stupid exercise. If you're going to do any exercise, you want to do progressive overload. But when you do an exercise and you don't progressively overload it, your body's going to adapt. Like if you just start doing 100 reps of face pulls and wow, am I sore the first 2 days? And then like 3 weeks later, you're not getting sore. We have to be careful about doing this every day because we can encourage overuse injuries. Now, I don't know the degree of likelihood that you're going to get an overuse injury doing banded face pulls every day. But bottom line, there's more productive things to do with your time than that. Seriously. There's more productive things to do with your day than that. Listening to live whilst finishing chest and tries, waiting for, yeah. Troy is on an aggressive cut, and his fat cells are kind of holding water right now. Flush it. You'll come back on Monday like a new man. I forgot I do 3 sets overhead press, 1 workout, and I can only get 1.5 sets. You can get 3 sets. What's stopping you from getting 1.5 sets? Why are you quitting? Look, I'm not trying to be hard. You can get 3 sets. Rest as long as you need and get 3 sets. You are not dead, and I'm not being hard because I care, and I'm just giving you some tough love. What happens after 1.5 sets? Do you die? TS. Sit your butt down on the bench. I don't care if you have to rest 6-7 minutes. Get your booty back up, even if you have to lower the weight 5 or 10 pounds. I don't care if you do 3 reps. Get in the fight. You can do 3 sets. Michael, will taking L-citrulline increase muscle pumps? Good. Is that going to have a lot of value on hypertrophy over the long run? Probably not. Does it help you focus maybe a little bit in your training? Maybe. I mean, what we take and the advantages it gives us are highly personal. Beta-alanine tingles on a pre-workout do absolutely nothing for you muscle-wise. Beta-alanine has to be taken optimally 3 to 4 times a day. If you don't trust me, go to examine.com for a long period of time for it to have benefits. But if the tingly wingly motivates you, then take it. Right? If you have room in your budget and you get muscle pumps and you feel that provides value when it comes to focus, by all means, use it. Now, the question is, will it increase muscle pumps? You have to try it for yourself. I tend to be hyper reactive to creatine, meaning when I take it, my muscle pumps are noticeably more intense. Logan, what's up? Full-time work and night classes keeping me busy. I imagine so. How would an upper posterior be 3 times a week? Perfect. That's a flexible schedule that a lot of my clients do. I'm completely okay with it. As long as you're working out 2 times a week, on those rough days, if you need to cut sets down to 2 per exercise or even 1 per exercise, just keep training hard and doing what you can do. What's your favorite A-B split? Well, the upper posterior is the one most people do in my world. But also the posterior days can be fairly brutal. They're not easy workout days. It's not always easy to slice and dice workouts and just have all of them feel equally intense. Even on a body part split, shoulder day feels, more moderate for me than anything else, even though I'm working hard, right? Joy, are Mark and Patty like extra assistant coaches in Team Massive? Patty Pereira and Mark, Amplified Training, I gave them their own section in Team Massive. They're people I like and respect, coaches in their own right. I believe strength builds strength, and a good union doesn't take away from my coaching, but we build each other up, and I like to be around good people. And I like to have extra voices in the mix on Team Massive, so I'm not the king. I want it to be a community, and I like having those extra voices. Patty does some coaching for me. She coaches a few clients in the Team Massive world. And Mark, I just like. Mark's just a good guy. Mark's like the son I never wanted. Even though the split does not matter in the long run, is there something to full body training 3 times a week with a day of rest in between for recovery? Well, you could also make the same argument for body part splits because you get longer recovery. So recovery is a personal thing. You're not overworking a body part every single day, so it might recover quicker. But that can be an exercise by exercise basis. Like squats, they're going to be hard, right? Squats are hard, no matter how you structure them. And I don't care if I structure them in a full body workout or if I structure them in a split, the recovery time is going to be different. So we have to look at things in terms of an exercise by exercise basic. We have to look at things exercise by exercise basis, right? And that's the true test. Hey, Steve, my left shoulder sits higher than my right one. Is there a way to level them? One of my traps is higher than the other. I'm no expert on that stuff, and I'm not going to pretend just because I'm a lifting guy that I can solve all your problems. I do know that the only thing we can do is get a lot bigger and stronger than we are now, and any differences we have will be minimized with muscle mass. Does that make sense? Sam, why is it that when I start a cut, I suddenly feel skinny fat as opposed to peak bulk when I look a lot bigger? When you start a cut, you're not going to have glycogen in your muscles. You're going to feel a little bit flat. You're going to feel a little bit weak. Some of it's psychological, and some of it is some of it is simply being a little bit glycogen depleted. Joy, would you personally like to have a Nautilus? Yeah, I love the Nautilus pullover, man. I think it's an underrated exercise. It's just like, I wouldn't even care if it was like shown to have one of the worst back exercises in existence. I like that exercise. I like the feel of that exercise. I think it's an underrated exercise. It's just a fun exercise. You can feel my lats. Hey, from Germany, how's it going? One of the countries I hope to visit in my world tour. Now that you're older, are there times that you save certain compounds towards the end of your? No, I don't. I'm not trying to puff myself up. I'm just a creature of habit. I like to do the same structure. Some warm up with leg curls, and I just have my routine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's nothing as long as you don't feel drained, but I don't feel the need. I just like my routine. Big shout out from Scotland to the main man himself. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I actually hope to visit. I can't wait to visit Scotland. Love the country. I'm not shy about it. If I wasn't married, I'd probably live there right now. I probably would. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Just hiking, doing the things. What do you call the peaks that are over 3,000 feet? I forget. If a male is over 20% body fat and he can bulk very slowly, you don't want to do 1 pound or less a month. That's not a bulk. It's just not efficient. No need for the same sort of, no. That's not really a bulk. You still have to play by the rules. Whatever your body fat percentage is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the rules of an efficient bulk. If you want to ride the line so tight that you're gaining like a half pound a month, it's just, number one, it takes forever to dial in. It just takes forever to dial in. Number two, it's not effective. I'm 14 pounds into my mini cut, added a couple more sugar-free energy drinks, and it's been a huge for me. So good, man. Whatever works. You inspired me with the purple cans. Yeah, man, whatever works. I mean, some people get hyper anal about this stuff. Like, you can't do this, you can't do that. We're not like that. We're about the big picture. What works for you? I've never hit your protein recommendations on a cut. I don't care if you're a vegetarian, you eat only ants, you eat only dust from planet Mars. Well, it won't make much of a difference. There is a reason why we have them in place. I don't care. I don't care what you are. I don't care how you eat. But there's a reason why we have them in place. There's a reason why we have them in place. Number one, it helps with food volume. But if you're a vegetarian, you probably have food volume. But still, you're probably getting in a lot of carbs, so they're protein sparing. I don't know. I'd have to look at the totality, but we don't want to look for excuse. Here's the big thing. We don't want to look for reasons not to hit things. We want to do our best to stay within convention. So I don't know your specifics. Okay. You could have a horrible vegetarian diet, or you could have a brilliant vegetarian diet. I don't know. But we still have to look at trying to stay as close to convention as we can, if that makes sense. Good morning, big hairy ugly dude. Some say, whenever I see some say, I kind of know I'm on the train tracks and there's a train coming down about to smack us, right? Are good for a bad back to gain mass in the quads. Yeah, that's reasonable. Any quad exercise that doesn't stress your lower back is reasonable. Leg presses can definitely, I thought we were going to get hit by a train here. Leg presses can generally, or not generally, leg presses have a higher likelihood of stressing your lower back if you have a bad lower back. Hack squats are usually more forgiving, so that's fair. What's another lift I can do? You can do Bulgarian split squats, you can do lunges, you can do leg extensions, and severe pain in the knee. You're going to have to go through all the exercises I just sorted out and figure out which ones feel okay for you. Does that make sense? Because, like, whenever it comes to injuries, like when somebody says they have an injury, right? And they want to know what exercises they can do. I have no idea. I have no idea. But what you can do is try these exercises at a low intensity level. See what you can do and what you can't. That's all you can do. Like anybody that has an injury, what we're going to do is find out what we can do. We can't guess at it, right? But we have to be safe in the process. Reese, I am not deadlifting currently. Are pull-ups enough for forearm growth? No. You should be doing enough in your normal routine that you're going to be you should be doing enough in your normal routine that you're working your forearms between curling exercise, just all the stuff you do, gripping, your back work. So I wouldn't worry about it. You don't need one exercise to build forearms. Pull-ups alone, though, are not enough, but I know you're doing more than that, so I wouldn't worry about it at all. If you are worried, do some wrist rollers or forearm curls. Anthony, protein, we did that already. Sorry, we covered that. Dang, son. Enjoy that candy bar while you can. Yep. Monday, we're going to be doing the 100 days. For those of you guys tuned in, you can join on teammassiveiron.com. I'm going to be doing 100 days, strapping it on, strapping it in. Only animal-based, only plant-based, no alcohol, no fast food, no junk food. We're going to be running. We're going to be lifting. We're going to have a calorie total. We're going to be strapping it in for 100 days. Now, I have a 30-day challenge for anybody that wants to join in. Only one person has ever done the 100-day challenge. John, and John attended my Massive Iron Super Living retreat many years ago. He was the only one that did it for 100 days. And in 100 days, man, he changed. He looked amazing in 100 days, 100 short days. He nailed it. But yeah, I'll enjoy that candy bar this weekend because Monday the fun starts. If you want to join in, join teammassiveiron.com or hit me up on DM on Instagram. I've been the barman. I'll hook you up. On 1 month cuts, it takes me a couple weeks to gain performance back. Yep. If I just diet for 10 days after just 1 calorie surplus day, I'm at peak strength. Yeah, I mean, you really don't lose strength till, you really don't have to deload weight till after 10 days. That doesn't mean it's most efficient. Shorter cuts are not necessarily saving you time. In the long run, the premise here is that doing a shorter cut is saving you time. You're going to need more frequent shorter cuts. And more frequent shorter cuts, they're going to add up to the same as longer cuts. If you do 2 cuts a year, for 30 days, so you're bulking for 10 months, and you could do shorter cuts for 6-10 day cuts, it's going to equal the same thing. It's going to equal the same fat loss window, right? It's not any better. It's not saving you time. Whatever body, let's say you got 2 people at the same body composition level and they have the same goals, and one does 2 30-day cuts and one does 60 10-day cuts, and the goal is to remain at the same body composition level. You're going to need the same amount of cutting days per year, right? So it's not saving you time, really. Due to body English, you can't accurately track lateral raises or face pulls. So it's training to failure without counting rep. I have no idea where you got this from. I don't use body English. I lock in and I can track lateral raises. Like laterals, I breathe, brace, lock, boom, boom, boom. I get my pattern in. I don't understand. I'm not being disrespectful, but I don't understand where you got that from. That's nonsense. If you lock your form into whatever, you are putting all your eggs in the form basket like there's some sort of perfect form, and you completely pushed hard training out the window like it's a non-variable. You created this idyllic, perfect world where lateral raises are locked in like this, and that's not a lateral raise, right? You're trying to turn an exercise into such a strict movement pattern. There's like somehow a little bit of power is the enemy. That's nonsense, right? Look at some of the stuff from Coach Kasim and one. We want hard training, and we want form doesn't have to be perfect. Form just has to be locked in and consistent, and we need to be able to feel the muscle grip. So, no, this is nonsense. I've heard that too much volume for a muscle in one training session leads. No. Well, I guess if you do 60 sets, I'm going to ask, why does this even matter? We're doing reasonable volume in the massive iron world. You're just going out to do excessive volume. This is hypothetical world. We don't train in hypothetical world. We train in the real world, right? We're not going out to do it. If your goal is to do so much volume where you're risking, muscle damage, you're not doing a productive program to begin with, right? I don't care, because all we're worried about in the massive, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, in the massive iron world, we're worried about reasonable volume and working it hard. If you work your volume hard, you can't do excessive amounts of volume. It's hypothetical fairy tales. I don't do that stuff. I'm here to help people get real world results. All these hypotheticals, like if I do 100 sets of bicep curls in a day with my red undie bundies on, like it's hypothetical nonsense. Just train the way we're teaching folks to train. I'm not being hard on you, Clue, but it's pointless. It's mental masturbation. It's just hypothetical bullshit that has no impact on real world training. When you said you lost arm size when you only did bench squats and deads, did you do? No, I was a big boy. There was no pull-ups. The year I was really doing a lot of heavy max work, and I wasn't doing just heavy singles. I'd work up to a heavy double, triple, quad, 5, whatever I felt like on the bench squat dead. And I was really doing no real assistance work, just the big lifts. I was way too fat to do a pull-up. I might occasionally done some rows, maybe dumbbell rows. But I was pretty much in the bench squat dead. I didn't do any, for those of you keeping score at home, I didn't do any direct arm work, and I didn't do much work out of squats, bench, and dead. And I lost an inch on my arms over about a year, even though I was at my strongest. Sean has small calves, but you have big calves. Well, certainly my natural calf size is genetic, but I don't know how Sean trains calves. One of my markers for this is Sean aside. I don't know anything about how Sean trains calves, so this is not a criticism. But when I look at somebody's calf training, do they go into the gym and do like seated calf raises with like 500 pounds? Have they pushed progressive overload to the ridiculous, like they won on bench? That's my marker for it. Paul, let's go. Been a while. Good to see you, Paul. Hope everything is okay. Paul is a past client of mine. Is any muscle built during a cut with proper training? Well, there could be a trivial amount. I mean, it's not like a light switch either or, but in a cut or on maintenance, you're basically running uphill and you're not going to gain any substantial amount, but you could gain some. And then if you're a noob, you could gain some. There's also, look, we have to look at this like the body is not one unit, okay? You could just train your upper body. If you're a newbie, you could just train your upper body. Here's a good example. For a year, newbie, boom. Newbie gains, boom. You're in a cut, you decide to add legs. For the first time ever, you're going to train legs and you do it in a cut. Are your legs going to build mass because your legs are still in newbie mode? Probably. So you see, the thing here is the body is not one muscle. It is a grouping of muscles. So if like you never trained your biceps and you decide to train them in a cut for the first time ever, you could potentially put on size, right? Because you still have newbie biceps. Does that make sense? So we tend to group everything very ignorantly in the lifting world, in that sense, like everything's the same, either newbie gains are on or off, but you can have muscles that you haven't worked that could experience growth. Does that make sense? Okay, now I know why they're called skull destroyers. Good. I hope you're sore. Coach G, what books would you recommend to improve exercise, diet, and coaching knowledge? The muscle and strength pyramids, is that what they're called? Muscle and strength. Muscle and strength pyramid. The muscle and strength pyramid is nutrition and training. They got 2 books. Go over to muscleandstrengthpyramids.com. That's a good starting point. Stuff by N1 would be good as well. That's where I would go to if I was a newbie. I've only had 2 beers since the beginning of 2024 and I've never felt better. Yeah, I mean, it's like balance. during the pandemic, when we were all locked in, we were watching movies 3-4 times a week, a couple, 2-3 beers just by accident. But that was a horrible time for most of us. JM, hope you're having a good Friday. Thank you for tuning in. In what cases or populations would you prioritize isolations over? Never. I would never prioritize anything with a limited progression opportunity. That doesn't mean we wouldn't use them to maximize. But there are extreme cases where someone has a certain injury and they can only do isolations. But that's really the only time. We're always going to seek the highest level. So whatever you are doing, we're going to try to find the best exercises that you are capable of doing. Does that make sense? What's your opinion on soy? I love soy sauce and I love sushi. It hasn't killed me yet. I think a lot of it is overhype. I mean, do any of us really eat enough soy or soy sauce where it's like danger, Will Robinson? Obscure reference, I'm sure. I don't know. It's like, I kind of view it, and you guys have a right to your own opinion, and maybe you think I'm an idiot, but like the folks that scream fire in the theater, don't drink Diet Cokes, don't eat soy, don't do this, don't do that. Like, if things are in balance, one thing we say in the massive iron world is the body is not that fragile. You take care of yourself, you're going to be absolutely fine. That's my opinion. The Black Line 7, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Back from Puerto Rico. Time to hit the iron. Make it happen, man. Hope you have a good weekend. Carlton, my client from the road. Hope you had a good week, Carlton. Nicholas, is there hype around the iliac fiber lat pull down? No, I actually pulled this up because I saw this question coming, because people are like, what? They're like, what? And then they're like, what? Let me get past the ad and I'll show you what the iliac lat pull down is. Hold on, I got to wait for the ad to finish running on YouTube, because I hope this is a good video. I didn't get a chance to watch it. Okay, so I just pulled up a random thing. I'm going to share the screen, share screen, because I want you guys to be able to see it, because you're like, what? And then you're like, what? Okay, that's just why I muted this, so I can't get, okay. You got the single arm. Okay, she gets a little bit of a back stretch. She's got good control going up. I like her form. You want to have good control in the eccentric, a slight upper back stretch. And then see, when you do this, I like doing a single arm lat pull down, because you can lean in a little bit and get a pretty good feel. You can get a little bit better feel. It's not a magical exercise. It's a decent exercise, but it's like the last pitcher in your bullpen. Jim said, how do you submit a question? You type it just like you just did, Jim. It's not a magical exercise, and don't fall into any influencer bullcrap. Hey, the iliac fiber lat pull down is GOAT. No, it's not. It's just an exercise. In fact, it's probably the last exercise on the plate. You need something with a good progressional opportunity. Pull-ups, lat pull downs. You can do the single arm. You can do this. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this. But don't ever believe the hype that any exercise is must do or magical. If you like to do it, just do it. I sometimes do single arms. I would do that, but it's too much setup in my home gym. I have nothing against it as a last exercise in your back routine. Big Josh Megaroids, what is the brand leg extension curl? I have the Titan Fitness. I've had 3 or 4 leg extension, leg curl stations in home gyms over the years. And quite honestly, most of them were crap. I hated nearly every one. They just didn't feel good. Some of them on leg press, just once you got up to a certain degree, it was like you're kicking the weights up really easily. I have the Titan leg press, leg curl combination. I have no issues with it at all. Is it the most perfect thing ever? No. Is it better than everything I've ever used? Yes. What's your pendulum squat brand? I use Titans as well. They're leverage squat. I have it right here. I've used them for 2 years. Don't have an issue with it. I've not tried others. I just, a lot of people hate on Titan. Is it the Lamborghini of home gym equipment? No. Is it reasonably priced and will it outlast my use of it? Yes. I've never had an issue with any of Titan's equipment. In fact, their T-bar station sitting over there, I've seen one of their T-bar stations in commercial gyms. It's a beast, right? Some of their other stuff, like, is everything perfect? No. I love the seated triceps push down, but I have to load it with like 300 pounds. It's more of a work, but I still get good value out of it. So yeah, I'm not hating on people, but there are people on the worldwide interwebs, that are like, you got to get this brand because it's look. If you can afford to get a superior brand, go ahead, but don't diminish the fact that this stuff will probably outlast your need for it. I had the worst sumo squat rack in the history of mankind. I beat the living crap out of it at my strongest for many, many years, and it just kept going. In most cases, this stuff is just steel, fabricated, put together, engineered to perform a movement pattern. It's not going to break down. Lots of vitamin D around now. Do you take vitamin D? I'm unsure if it does anything. Well, there was a recent post going around about multivitamins where there was good indication. This is from reliable sources, not just another study. Reasonable sources that it could help with memory and cognitive function as you age. There's a lot of hit or miss stuff on vitamin D. Some people think you should never take it. You should just go out in the sun. I take it daily because you know what? I live in Ohio. I haven't seen the freaking sun in like 10 days. I just haven't. It's raining. It's rained all week. Before that was snowing. I don't even remember what the sun looks like. I think we got one Sunday in the last 2 weeks. Sun day. So, I don't know. I don't see any downside. I take it. My wife takes it. My ears haven't fallen off. I still think getting out in the sun's important, but 5'10", 166. I have 6 more pounds left in my bulk. Goal is to get to sub 12%. What cut and bulk scheme should I use? Okay, so I started, I'm just saying this for reference. This is not an analysis of your current weight. I started at 5'10", like 154 in college. Okay, so your max natural potential is like 178 to 180. That's if you had no fat. So you're gonna bulk up to 172. Now your goal is to get to 12%, but your goal is also to build muscle mass. So your weight's going to have to move up over time. If you want to mass, and I believe you want to mass, your natural potential is going to be 178 to 180 without any fat. So a reasonable goal would be like 185. You wouldn't be at your natural potential. 185 to 190 is a good first goal to stay lean. What you want to do is continue doing what you're doing, 10 and 10s. Okay? You're going to bulk up to 172. You're going to get to maybe 18, 19% body fat, maybe 18, whatever. Depends on how much mass you put on. Let's say you get to 172. Okay? You're going to have to creep that up with bulk and cut cycles to about 185 over the course of the next 2 years. So doing the 10 and 10, You could maybe do, it might make more sense for you to do the 13 and 10, 13 and 10, 13 and 10, just slowly creeping up 3 pounds, or 10 and 7, 10 and 7, 10 and 7, where you're gaining 3 pounds net every bulk cycle on the scale. You're going to be building muscle, so you have to make room for that muscle to be built. But you also have to make, that involves allowing for weight to increase on the scale. Does that make sense? You don't want to do plus 10 minus 15. You're going to, over 3 bulk cycles, you're going to end up like 151 at 5'10". That's too skinny, my man. You got you're way under where you're natural. You got to make room for muscle growth in there. The mirror is going to be your best friend, but it's actually the opposite. You probably want to do plus 13 minus 10. Both. The answer is always both. The seated calf raise is going to be good for the soleus. You want to do like a 2-3 second up, hold, 2-3 second down. Normally, we don't worry about time under tension, but since the calf raise has such a limited range of motion, a limited inherent tension time or time under tension, we want to encourage some stress by doing that on the seated calf raise, probably on the standing as well. So the seated is going to target the long head, or the soleus. The standing is going to target whatever the other muscle group is in the calves. I forget offhand. I'm having a brain fart, but I would do both, either every week or every other week. Do you know what happened to Scott Herman, Sean Nalawani, and More Plates from More Dates? Are they done on YouTube? I don't know what you mean. I know Mark Bell got canceled, but I didn't hear any information about anybody else. I don't think that's the case, to be honest with you. Just mute. Sean. There's Sean, still on YouTube, 1 million subscribers. Sean does mostly Instagram stuff. He doesn't really do YouTube stuff anymore, so he's still there. More plates, more dates. Nearly 2 million subscribers. He's still there. His last video was 2 months ago. I just think these guys are just branching out a little bit. And not putting all their eggs in the YouTube basket. Sean does really good on Instagram. And Scott Herman, I see his videos all the time pop up in my feed. Good old Scotty Herman, 2.8 million. And I think he just released a video yesterday. Yeah, he released a video yesterday. So they're all there. They just don't post on YouTube as much. Big Josh Megaroids. I'm 4 on, 4 off. I don't have time to hit weights on work days. So I want to get at least 6 hours sleep. So I work out first day off. So on off days, I work out first day off and last day off. Continued. So I basically on an 8-day schedule, having days 5 to 8 off work. I need some rest days. I do full body on days 5 and 8. Day 5 is a push and quad bias. Day 8 is would it be how I would do it? No. Now I'm not saying it's not a decent method. If it's working for you, it's okay, right? What I would probably do is do 2 days rest, then 1 day. I would maybe do upper, chest, back, shoulders, then limbs, legs, arms, rest, and then chest, back, shoulders. That's one way of doing it. You could also rotate the old upper, posterior, rest, upper. Next week, posterior, upper, rest, posterior. Do what you want to do. I would like to see 3 days where you do work, rest, work, but it's all up to your schedule. Because 3 days in that cycle would just encourage more weekly volume, and that wouldn't be a bad thing. Does that make sense? Barbell Bryce. Is it okay if I use a 10-minute conventional deadlift block every week? Yeah. I know you say to try to pull from the floor every other week. No, it's not a bad deal. There are some advantages pulling from the floor every other week, but you can do the same thing every week. Deadlifts, I just rotate a little bit variety in. But yeah, man, you can do it every week. There's no downside at all as long as you enjoy it. All right, we got a bloat max question. What do you think about bloat maxing in the last month of a bulk? No, because you're just going to spend more time in a cut and you're going to spend more time away from building. I don't like it at all. No, wouldn't do it. You're not going to gain that much strength in a month. Over the long run, it's just going to cause you to spend more time in a cut. I'm not a fan at all. You want to do it, God bless you. I wouldn't do it. Honestly, was waiting for you to mention Russia in your visit plans. But you should know there are thousands of incredibly, I'm sure there is. I've traveled extensively, run extensively, and seen as much of the world as I possibly can outside of the cities. And one thing I've learned is around every corner, there's amazing things to find. And I don't get into politics. Certainly, I wish every country in the world would get along, and they don't. I do know that leadership and politics is a very complex dynamic. And people in countries are not cookie cutters, right? They're not all the same. So I don't worry about that stuff. The one thing I do find interesting, though, I've been doing this for a very long time. And I will say I have clients all over the world, and clients that come here, and clients that come to Team Massive, and or people that come to Team Massive, and people that come to forums. One thing I've learned is that there's certain countries that are here, or on the forums, or on YouTube, and certain countries we never see mingle. I've never had a Russian client, never had a Chinese client. I don't see a lot of people from South America, don't see people from Africa. There's whole half the world that doesn't seem to interact. Like one half interacts and the other half just doesn't seem to be there. So I don't know. The point is, I don't know a lot about certain areas of the world. I know a lot about India from having forums and clients. I know a lot about Canada from having forums and clients. Same with Sweden and Spain and even Romania. Right, I've got clients from Romania. Anyway, Josh Megaroids. When I say biased, I mean I do the majority of my work for those body parts. I understand. The only thing, Josh, and I don't know that I'm fully understanding your situation, is that I would like to see you get in 3 days just to encourage more ability to squeeze in some extra volume. Nicholas, why do we do 30 to 100-day challenges for fun? Because we want to. Why do we do anything? The mountain's in front of us. Why do we climb the mountain? It was there. Why do we go to the moon? I saw it in the sky. People attach psychologically to different things. And there is something inherently motivating for a lot of people to do something big, to do something dramatically different. If I tell you, eat a salad, bitch, right? Excuse my talk, but if I just like, eat a salad, bitch, you're like, right? But if I give you a big challenge, there's something inside of you that's you're gonna be like, that's not for me. I'll move on to the next big challenge, or I'll do it. Man, I get fired up for challenges. I feel alive when I'm pushing myself to the limit. When I'm doing something extreme, I feel the most alive. The first time I ever ran for 2 hours, I remember it was in Indiana. And we had just stopped. We were going to visit my mom or whatever. And we stopped in Indiana to run because we were running. And we went out on a trail and we ran for 2 hours. We just did. We went out and back. We went out and back. It just happened. I didn't even think I could do it. I never in my mind thought I could ever do it. I didn't think I could run for 2 hours. I didn't go out that day and say, I'm going to run for 2 hours. We just went out. We kept going. We kept going. We kept going. We got an hour out. Now we had to run back. And I got done, and something in my brain, a door opened because I challenged myself. And we sat there in the car going, what if we run 10 days or 10 hours a week, 5 days a week for 2 hours? Okay. We set a goal to do that and run 2,500 kilometers in a year. All because we did it once. That's exactly how it happened. And you know what? We decided to do it for charity to increase the intensity and the commitment level. We found a local boy, Aiden, and we decided to run 5 days a week, 2 hours a day to raise money for Aiden. He was in a car accident. He couldn't walk. He needed money. We ran, and we saw that commitment through. We ran 5 days a week, at least 2 hours a day, 2,500 kilometers minimum that year. We end up helping them be able to get a handicap van. I'm not trying to elevate myself, but challenges open doors, right? Trying to climb and doing crazy, trying to climb the mountains and do crazy things opens doors. You don't have to do them. But man, I am most alive when I'm asking myself to do. I want to see what I am capable of. That's why I do challenges. I want to see what I am capable of. I will set ridiculous goals and then just see what I can do. I find that fun. I find it motivating. And I think a lot of other people do as well. I'd love to hear your opinion. What's your opinion on adding the adductor to the? Yeah, I love it. I think if, like, I'm not going to lie, back in the day when you first saw the adductor machines, you're like, good girls, bad girls, good girls, bad girls, right? And you're like, nah, I'm not doing those. I'm too manly. But in my squatting years, I picked up a lot of adductor strengths. Looking back, would I have made myself do those during my heavy squatting years? Yes. Do I want to spend the money to get those machines here? I don't have the room and I don't have the money. But if I did, I would get them and I would do them. So yes, I think they're a good idea, especially for anybody that's squatting. Just a little bit. You don't need to overdo them. Just a little bit, like a little salt on the meal, right? But I would. Is proper posture have anything to do with genetics? I don't know, man. I'm no posture expert. I'm not trying to be dismissive, but I stay in my lane here in Massive Iron. I don't know jack squat about posture. I know if I'm walking around and see somebody like, yeah, look weird. Strength training have put an effort for good posture. I don't know, man. It's a good goal. I think it can be good for the lower back, but it's way out of my league. Outside of lifting, what's the hardest thing you've had to do? Oh, definitely running. Lifting, I'm in a comfort zone. I've done brutal things, but one of the reasons why I love ultra running is I haven't found a limit. No, I'm not sitting here going, ha ha ha, I can run 100 miles. Easy. I can't. But I haven't found a limit. I ran a marathon, trail marathon, then I ran a trail 50K. Then I did 2 50Ks in 2 days, back-to-back days, my 52nd birthday. Do you know how ridiculous that was for me? Like, it took me forever just to get to a 50K. And then I ran 50Ks on back-to-back days. I love this stuff because I haven't found a limit. Now, at the end of the 50Ks, I feel like death. But I know if I lose weight and continue to train, I might be able to do a 60K. If I get my weight down to 210, I might be able to do a 70K. So there's room for growth. The hardest thing I've ever done, I would say the hardest thing I've ever done was the month of July. I don't know how many years ago it was, 4 years ago or whatever, where I tried to achieve my first 50K. In July, I did 3 50K attempts in 4 weeks. Now, this is July, hot, humid, hell. The first attempt I made, Fiona got very, very sick. This was in West Virginia. And I got such bad quad cramps. The first time I ran at this race in West Virginia, I got a marathon. The second time, after 20 miles, my quad cramps were through the roof. I don't know why. I could not continue. I was done. I couldn't have walked another mile. So I failed my first 50K attempt in July at West Virginia. The next weekend, I attempted a 50K in Ohio at Cedar Creek. The race director, eyes roll. The race started like an hour late or 45 minutes late. So that already cut into my time, and there's a time restriction. The race was like 4 or 5 miles longer than it should have been. It was just a hot mess. So I would have had to run like 55, 57K in like an hour less. And I realized at about 35K that if I wanted to do 50K, I'd be coming back in the dark for an hour on a brutal trail. And there was no way I was going to do that. So I tapped out. Then we took a week off and we ran. I did it myself with my wife at Cedar Creek, and I did it. And it was an amazing feeling. And that's the hardest thing I've ever done. What are the biggest life lessons you want to pass on? A brilliant question. Wake up every day and do what you want to do. We live in an era that wants to define itself. I am a such and such that does such and such. I'm a lifter and I run the paleo diet and I do this and I'm an ultra runner. Wake up every day and do what you want to do. Do different things, go different places, see different things, open new doors. Be what you are, but allow yourself to be something new. I do silly things because I want to try them. Rock climbing, didn't like it. Right? I've done so many things over the years, run so many places. I just started trail running because I thought, hey, these crazy people are running on a trail. I wonder if I'm crazy too. And I loved it. It opened a door. Do things in life for no reason. Go places, do things, try things, just for the experience. I'm not a religious person, but I went to a Catholic church on Christmas Eve because I wanted an experience. I wanted to see what it was about and feel it rather than reading it about it or seeing it on a video. Restaurants, trying new things, trying new ingredients, going new places. Just getting in the car and traveling to a random city on the weekends. Live life like it's an adventure. The other thing I would pass along is save as much money as you can when you're young. A little bit every week will add up super quick. And by the time you're 45 or 50, you're going to have a bank account, 401k, 55 that'll allow you more freedom in your senior years. That's a big thing. Relationship wise, be patient, be super patient. Just because someone likes the same songs as you or thinks you have a cool car doesn't mean you need to stay in a relationship with them. Be more picky, be more patient when it comes to relationships. One of the things I learned is that when I got divorced and was back in the world again, the single world, if I didn't feel after the first date that something was, there can be good people that just aren't good for you, just aren't perfect for you. If I didn't feel it was a good fit, I wasn't going to waste their time with a second date. That doesn't mean they weren't a bad person. Don't waste people's time. Be respectful and be patient. Expect nothing in return. Whatever you do on a daily basis, do it so you can sleep well at night. That way, when the haters come, I'm good. I did all I could. On this channel, I've been doing this over 12 years, and I get haters, criticism, people that mock me. I'm faster than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm more muscular than you. I'm leaner than you. I see comments every day. I saw one yesterday, a random comment. He's only 5'5". What does he know? Like I'm 5'10". It doesn't really matter. But like the stuff people come up with to try to attack you. But I live a good, clean life. I can sleep well at night. I do my very best to be a better human being. And I can't stress this enough. For those of you that are 25 or 30, you're going to wake up in 5 years and you're going to be 50. You're like, what's he talking about? The next 15 or 20 years are going to go by in a blink of an eye. And you're going to wake up and you're 50 and you're in the last act of your life. It's going to go by quickly. Do the things you love. Don't set your hobbies and interests aside. Don't waste your life. If you are a parent, be a parent, but don't set your hobbies and interests aside. Find a way to sustain them. Find a way to work with your partner to sustain them. Read all the books you can. Spend all the time you can with your hobbies and passions and interests. Unplug that fucking TV. Don't be a slave to the TV. Paint, read, do jujitsu. Spend your free time doing the things you love, listening to music, writing, whatever. You're going to regret it if you don't. You're going to wake up at 50 and time is going to be urgent. You're going to be in a time crunch. And you're going to realize it's running out and I wasted all those years not doing the things I loved. I'm training to get delts like this guy. Overhead presses, man. I love the overhead presses. I get elbow pain on squats unless I widen my grip. Yeah, it's pretty normal. One of the misconceptions is like we have to have a super narrow grip on squats. If not, we're squatting wrong or failing the world or whatever. I think in my mid-40s, I reached a year where I had so much bulk on my back. Like the more mass you have on your back and rear delts, it pushes the bar back. Even if that's only a half inch, it makes it harder to get under the bar because you have more mass. And if you have more bicep mass, it makes it harder to bring your forearm down because there's a limited range of motion. So because of your mass, there was a year where I couldn't get under the bar without a lot of extreme pain. And I thought on the internet, it's all like, you need mobility work. Well, sometimes you just have a lot of mass and you just can't get under the bar. It's okay to widen the grip. I squat ultra wide. It's good on my shoulders. It's good on my elbows. There's nothing wrong with it. What you want to do is you want to tighten down. You want to pull the bar down before each squat rep. That will help you with back tightness. So you won't sacrifice back tightness. Macaroni. Do you think replacing the dumbbell row with a low cable row? No. Do I think it's a good idea? No, because they're not equal swaps. I don't think the low cable row is a bad lift, but it's not. The dumbbell row is a top A tier lift. Super progression opportunity. The low cable row is a fine lift, but it is not a top tier lift. Would anything deep fried be the worst things? Well, deep fried is not necessarily the best options in the world. When I go out to eat, I try to avoid deep fried stuff as much as possible. Occasionally, once every couple of months, we'll have a little bit of fried chicky, or I might have some mozzarella sticks deep fried, but it's not the best choice in the world. The breading, all the junk oils have been floating around for a couple, 2-3 years. Not my favorite thing. I know they're supposed to change the oil every X, Y, and Z, but do they? I don't know. Big Jim. How can I tell if belly fat is visceral or not? If you have a little bit of belly fat, there's probably a little bit of internal fat. A little bit of fat in your organs, around your heart. It's just a reality. I'm no expert on visceral fat, internal fat, but I know when you start to accrue belly fat that you probably have accruation of fat around your heart and your organs. When we get down to about 18% body fat-ish, we lose the belly fat, the man boob fat, the love handle fat, and the lower back fat. And that's a good place to be if you want to really minimize internal fat. I take 10,000 units oil D3. I did tests, and it showed a significant increase. It's interesting. Best way to check if something is working is to do blood tests. Absolutely. And for you guys that don't know, LabCorp, you can get your blood tests done pretty cheaply. It doesn't cost an arm or a leg. I do mine once a year just to see where my hormonals are. Big Josh Megaroids. People who take multivitamins are shown to have better memory. Kind of makes me laugh. Did you take your multis every day? No, I forgot. That's true. No, I don't know what I take them, but yeah, people ask me all the time, like fish oil, multivitamin, collagen. Should I take it? There's really no downside, other than the bank account hit, possible upsides. Shimmy, skinny walker. What if you have a cheat meal on a cut day? Why? Why would you do that? But then you do not reach your protein intake. What would you have? Like, if you're going to eat a bunch of junk, you probably won't eat your protein intake. It's probably just all junk, sugar, whatever oils. Would you have more? No. I turn off the valve. All that junk's going to be protein sparing. So yeah. The more, when you're in a cut, you're eating less carbs and other calories. So it's going to your body's going to rely on protein a little bit for energy. If you're eating all that crap, it's not going to rely as much on protein. So it's not as critical on that day. I'm more concerned with you, overeating on a cut. Harut, speak of the devil or the angel. Hey, big, hairy, ugly dude, how often do you see people who are married to a certain split for years try a different one? A lot. There's a huge fear. Like, people think, I was going to say they think their dick's going to fall off if they try body part split, but I won't say that they think their dick's going to fall off because I won't be that crude. But some people think their dick's going to fall off if they try a body part split. It's almost humorous when you look at it. And, it's like a fetish. Some people are interested in it, but they won't try it because they think it makes them too weird or kinky, right? Like, it's just a body part split. So yeah, most people are really open to changes. Most people I coach. Outside of the coaching, I mean, people that come to me for coaching are usually okay with trying things, and I never push anything. I never push a body part split, but if somebody wants to try it, we do it. If in vitamins, is it important that what origin the vitamin comes from, its dosage and absorption. I find it hard to find multivitamins, good ones. Drips are the best. I think our biggest concern is the variability in dosing in capsules or gummies or whatever. The variability can be high, even in energy drinks like caffeine and energy drinks. You know, I think that's the biggest concern, to be honest with you. How do you feel about a false grip on bench press? No. If you want to do one, and you better have safety spotters, not a spotter, but you better have face savers. I don't understand the obsession with it. I want to grip the damn bar. They call it a suicide grip for a reason. That makes sense. I do spend over 2 hours each of these workouts. Yeah, I mean, I don't know your schedule, Josh, so just general advice. Big Josh Megaroids. So I'm hitting about 10 to 12 sets per muscle. That's good. If you're hitting that, that's fine. If you want to break it up, if you want to break it up, in a 3 days, so you're doing less per day, you can do that as well. Big Sam. Any further recommendations for a long-limbed individual? My arms and legs are taking a lot of time to fill out. Bench, you just want to make sure your grip's wide enough so it's not a really unnatural movement. Deadlifts, it's just going to give you an advantage. And squats, it's not going to bother you at all. On rows, you just need to concentrate on driving the elbow back. I mean, really nothing specifically, no. Everybody has to train basically the same way. The only difference is on pressing, you don't want to make sure it's too narrow. Tanya, when you are gaining weight, how do you know you are building muscle and not fat? If you are lifting properly, using progressive overload, a reasonable amount of volume and consistency, you are building muscle. If you're just moving weight and not trying to progress or train hard, you're not building muscle. That's how you know. What exercises are more risky to go to failure on? Posterior chain exercises. Squats, deads, RDLs. 100% posterior chain good morning exercises. Anything that's a posterior, far more risky. What is a good equivalent for Bulgarian split squats? We got about 5 questions left, guys, so get them in now. If not, this is the last call. If not, I'll be jumping off. Lunges, reverse lunges. Those are going to be your best options for Bulgarian split squat. I mean, I didn't do any unilateral work for a long time. I just did squats and leg press and leg extensions, and that's really about it. Some hack squats. You don't have to do unilateral work. I know they're all the rage. They're a very popular exercise, but you don't need to do them. Barbell Bryce, do you have any experience with swapping out bicep and tricep work? Chest and biceps? Yeah, I did that last week actually for fun. I did chest and biceps, rested, then I did back and triceps. You can absolutely do that as long as there is a rest day in between the arm work and a comparable push or pull workout. So if you did delts and triceps, you could not do chest the next day because your triceps would be fatigued. Your delts would be fatigued as well. If you did chest and biceps, you'd need a rest day so your biceps aren't fatigued, headed into back day. So you couldn't do back day immediately afterwards. So it has to make sense. How can I loosen my hips, glutes, hammies so I don't feel like squats and deads in my lower back? Usually that's form. I don't know that I've looked at your form. Lower back pump is a separate issue. Like lower back stress can be natural. A lower back pump can be natural. Lower back fatigue can be natural. It's not inherently the enemy. But I would be interested in looking at your form. Is everything tight? I don't know that it's tight. If you're feeling a lot of lower back stress, there's a lot of variables in the puzzle I'd be curious to comb through. I'm about 23% body fat, 5'10", 204, 16.5-inch arms. How much arm size do you think I'd lose getting down to 10%? Maybe like 15.75-ish. Maybe. Roughly in that range. At this range, you're still carrying a lot of fat in your chest, in your belly. A lot is relative, but you can still see some minor man boob fat, some love handle fat, some belly fat. That's going to be the majority of what you lose, but you're going to lose, probably a half-inch off your arms. Why did you shave your beard? I didn't really. I just trimmed it. I got a new trimmer. My old trimmer died, and I got a new trimmer. And I was testing out the length on the trimmer, and I cut it just a little bit tight. Everyone's a little bit different, but that's why. And you mean my big beard? Because I don't like having a big ogre-ish beard. I just don't. How hard long should I cut? Like as long as I get minimum protein? Well, Josh, you look pretty lean in your avatar. First off is sustainability. A cut needs to be sustainable. And I need to know more information. You don't look morbidly obese, so I need to know more information. But you can cut aggressively, 16, 17, 1,800 calories. Keep your protein at least 35% of your calorie intake, and you'll be good to go. Josh Megaroids, thanks for your input. I always value it. Thank you. I appreciate you supporting me over all these years, my friend. Last call, last question, guys, or else I'm going to jump ship. Is there a proper way to use a weight belt for squatting to protect the lower back? A belt is more for bracing. It'll teach you bracing. So when you're normally bracing without a belt, you kind of brace the core, right? Boom, like somebody's going to punch you in the core. With a belt, you kind of push out against it, so it's a different kind of bracing. Does that make sense? All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for tuning in to Massive Iron Live. We're almost 2.5 hours in. And Barbara, there we go. How quickly does the body adapt to calorie changes? It doesn't. You're not going to stall. You need to drop calories if you're not losing weight. I mean, you'd have to go pretty extreme. So if you're not losing weight, you need to lower calories. It's not going to all this thing like the body's going to reach some set point super quickly, and after like a week you're going to. It doesn't happen in the cutting world. What happens is people screw up, or they're not lowering their calories enough, or we can get to the point like way in deep where we're getting close to stage lean, where we might have to make some really minor adjustments then to keep the fat loss going. All right, guys, that's it. We'll see you next week. I appreciate your support. Please come back next Friday. And if you need coaching, hit me up on superlivingtoday.com. I would love to help, and we're out of here.
It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.